New Safeguard 100 grams, rupees 175 only.
Hello there, very good evening. This is the weekend edition of Primetime News on TV1 for the News First, where the people come first. I'm Martin Satyanesam. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for this evening.
More rains expected. Fishermen warned not to venture out to sea till the 25th. Did the 21st Amendment divide the Pohottua? A query from the opposition. Opposition leaders' revelation of a conspiracy against the chairman of independent commissions. There is no food crisis in the country. A statement from the president's advisor, Suren Batagoda. Super 12 round of the ICC T20 World Cup kicks off. New Zealand registers convincing victory against Australia.
You see their energy just evaporate.
On to those stories in detail. The final rites of Atamasthanathipati, Most Venerable Dr Paligama Srinivasa Theru, were observed this evening. The cremation of the remains of the Theru were carried out at the Mahavihara crematorium located close to the Thupa Brahmaya.
The Most Venerable Dr Paligama Srinivasa Theru was entrusted with the protection of the Atamasthana in Anuradhapura, including the Jayashree Mahabodhiya. He performed a great service to the nation in his capacity as the Atamasthanathipati. His remains were placed at the Anuradhapura Jayashree Mahabodhiya for the public to pay their final respects. President Ranil Wickremesinghe was among those who paid their final respects. The cremation of his remains was held in the presence of the Mahanayaka Theros of the three sects. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena also paid his final respects to the mortal remains of the Most Venerable Dr Paligama Srinivasa Theru.
Srinivasa Nayaka Maat
Srinivasa Theru and myself came to the temple on the same day in 1968. We were ordained on the same day. We left for Piriven education on the same day. He got the opportunity to develop the Atamasthana during the past 50 years, and despite the many challenges. I wish that the Most Venerable Dr Paligama Srinivasa Theru may attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana.
අපවත් විවදාල මගේ පැවිදි සහෝදර පල්ලේගම සිරිනිවාස නායක හාමුදුරන් වහන්සේට උතුම් වූ අජරාමර නිර්වාණ සම්පත්තිය ලැබේවායි ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා.
After religious observances were held, the remains of the Most Venerable Dr Paligama Srinivasa Theru were taken to the Mahavihara crematorium where the body was cremated.
The Met Department in its advisory says that showers or thunder showers will occur at times in western, Sabaragamuwa, central, northwestern and northern provinces and in Galle and Mathura districts. The department adds that several areas in the western and Sabaragamuwa provinces and the Galle and Mathura districts will experience rainfall of over 100 millimeters. The inclement weather prevalent over the island has claimed the lives of 3 people during the past 24 hours.
The wall at a construction site located along St. Joseph Street in the Grand Pass Police Division had collapsed onto an adjacent house. One person inside the house had died. Deceased was identified as a 55-year-old individual. He died upon admission to the National Hospital. One person lost his life after he fell into a canal in Galabadavatta, Navalapitiya. He had fallen in while attempting to cross the canal from Kabaragala, Galabadavatta and was washed away by the strong currents. The victim, Sannasi Ramasamy, was a 62-year-old resident of Kegalle. He had been travelling to a house of a relative to celebrate Deepavali. 3 estate houses were damaged after a mound of earth collapsed in Nanu Oya, Nuwara. No injuries were reported. The spill gates of the Kukuleganga reservoir have been opened due to heavy rains. Water is being released into the Kudaganga at a rate of 96 cubic meters per second. The Bulat Sinhala Molkava main road and the Atamagas Handia area and several other lowlands were flooded, and the flow of traffic along several roads were disrupted. Four spill gates of the Daduru Oya reservoir have been opened. Flow of traffic along the Alpitiya Gaul road from Kahatapitiya in Batapola was disrupted due to the area being inundated. Heavy showers and strong winds battered several areas in Matara last night. According to our correspondent, fishermen in Dikvalla, Kottegoda, Deundara and Valigama did not go out to sea. The Disaster Management Unit in the Matara district says that water levels of the Nilvala River has increased. Residents on either side of the Nilvala River have been advised by the DMC of Matara to remain vigilant. Heavy rains have inundated many lowlands in the vicinity of the Ging River.
A person had drowned while travelling along a flooded road in Araupala in Kuliyapitiya. The deceased Siripala Ratnayaka was a 58-year-old father of 1. He had faced this incident while they were travelling from Kuliyapitiya to Araupala. The road they were travelling on was inundated. Siripala Ratnayaka had left the vehicle to inspect as if the vehicle could not travel across the road. While on the road, another vehicle had driven along the road and Siripala had fallen into the canal while he attempted to move away from the road. The passengers in the vehicle were rescued by the police and area residents.
We'll continue with more local stories after this short commercial break. Stay tuned.
News First, main sponsor.
25% for 2 months, 25.5% for 4 months. Valuable FD.
Ivan Satutin inne wiring karala. Wiring kirwe Islon Polycon yodala. Polycon enne Islon niwasin hinda. Kipurama vishwasaya satuta petrila.
For your safety and the protection of the wires used in networking, electricity and AC wiring, S-Lawn Polycon cable trunking. Suitable for white walls. Prevent spread of fire. Double lock technology. Ask for S-Lawn Polycon by name.
25% for 2 months, 25.5% for 4 months. Valuable FD.
Ivan Satutin inne wiring karala. Wiring kirwe Islon Polycon yodala.
For your safety and the protection of the wires used in networking and AC wiring, S-Lawn Polycon cable trunking.
Welcome back to the news. The 22nd Amendment to the Constitution was passed with amendments by majority vote in Parliament yesterday. It will be added to the Constitution of Sri Lanka as the 21st Amendment.
How were the votes cast for the 21st Amendment? 179 votes were cast in favour of the amendment on the second reading and 174 votes were cast in favour during the third reading. However, on both occasions, Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna parliamentarian Dr Sarath Weerasekara exercised his vote against the amendment. The Samagi Jana Balawegya, the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, the Tamil National Alliance and the National People's Power voted in favour of the amendment. However, several MPs were not present for the vote, who didn't vote in favour of the 21st Amendment. 44 parliamentarians were not present in Parliament during the vote. Which SLPP parliamentarians didn't vote in favour of the 21st Amendment? Mahinda Rajapaksa, Prasanna Ranatunga, Mahinda Amaravira, Pramita Bandara, Sanat Nishanta, Sri Paligama, Anuradha Jayaratne, Sita Arambepola, Johnston Fernando, Pavitra Vanyarachi, Gamini Lokuge, Janaka Bandara, S.M. Chandrasena, Rohita Begunawardana, Vimalavira Disanayaka, Deep Udugoda, Sanjeeva Edirimana, Nalaka Bandara Kotegoda, Nipuna Ranavaka, Sahan Pradeep, Sagara Karyavasam, Ranjit Bandara and Jayanta Veera Singha.
Several views were expressed regarding the political situation in the country. Article 4A of our constitution cannot be changed without a referendum. That article states that the defence of the country and the executive power shall be exercised by a president elected by the people. Who is the president elected by the people here? Did the people elect Ranil? The people didn't even elect him into parliament. This is a person they used temporarily. But he became the president due to the loopholes in Article 40 and now he thinks he wields all executive powers. 134 thieves voted for him. So we brought an amendment to say that if the office of the president becomes vacant, the interim president who comes into power cannot stay in his position for longer than 6 months and that an election must be held thereafter. Although this is good for the people, it is not good for the people in Parliament. Parliamentarians are jumping from one party to another. So we introduced an amendment where a member will lose his seat in Parliament if he switches parties after being elected. Is that good or bad? You clapping and cheering is not that important now because Parliament did not approve this. There were allegations that Basil Rajapaksa was involved in attempts to sabotage this with the MPs. Our groups that met under the leadership of Ranil Wickremesinghe unanimously agreed to support this amendment. But no influence was exerted on a majority of the MPs, asking them not to vote in favour of this. Although the opposition attempts to show that there was some sort of a crisis here, there was none. Out of the MPs who are in the island, only Mahinda Rajapaksa did not come. He would have not come because of some special reason. But the others came and supported this. So I don't think there was any obstruction. Some people came to Parliament in the morning and left shortly afterwards. Some people left the island to evade this. The leader of the SLPP and the secretary and the chief organizer of the government. We clearly saw this division in the government. We believe that there is a group of 20 to 25 MPs inside the SLPP who are led by Basil Rajapaksa. They are the ones who didn't support the 21st Amendment yesterday. We saw a massive division in the government yesterday. He couldn't even hold on to the 134 MPs who voted for him into the office of president. After the 22nd Amendment was tabled in Parliament, the debate on the amendment was postponed on a number of occasions. There were even scuffles during the group meetings of the Pohot tour. Even when the amendment was taken up for a vote yesterday, the government was not on one stance. At a time when there is no stability within the government, the president's request for the opposition to support him to maintain stability has become a joke. The current administration has failed to do it. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasu warned that there is a conspiracy to use provisions in the newly passed 21st Amendment to the Constitution against the chairman of independent commissions. We received word that various plots are being hatched at group meetings of the Pohot tour. They are saying that the chairman of the Human Rights Commission must be removed. That is because she gave justice to the youth who engaged in the Aragalaya. Some are saying that the chairman of the Elections Commission. That is because he is saying that the elections must be held on time. I would like to warn the Pohot tour not to prepare to play with the lives of the people. Do not prepare to use state power to engage in violent acts. We stand with the chairman of the Elections Commission. We voted in favour of the 21st Amendment to the Constitution to establish a better administration in the country. We did not vote in favour of sending Marasinghe home. we did not vote in favour of sending Punchihewa home. We are not ready to do that. If they try to do that, we are ready to take to the streets with the 22 million people of this country and provide the strength to fight for the rights of the people of this country. We will do that. The opposition leader expressed these views while attending the Samagi Jana Balawegaya Balamandala meeting of the Diwulapitiya electorate.
State Minister of Finance Ranjit Siambalapitiya today explained how taxes will be imposed under the Inland Revenue Amendment Bill.
These taxes, like the pay tax, can only be imposed after the Parliament approves it. The bill will first be endorsed by the Speaker and it will come into effect from the 1st of next month. Many people are speaking about the tax imposed on people earning an income of over 100,000 rupees. This will only be imposed from the 1st of the month preceding the month in which the bill is passed in Parliament. The tax will not come into effect from the 1st of October.
Advisor to the President, Dr Suren Batagoda, says that there is no food crisis in the country.
Dr. Suren Batagoda made this statement speaking at a Zoom meeting where the program to ensure food security and nutrition was being reviewed. Vegetables must be cultivated at all homes and a food sharing concept must be established at all temples. If that is done, we can proceed without an issue. Even today, there is no food crisis in the country. Those who say that there is a food crisis are lying. There is no reason that could lead to a food crisis in the country. During the meeting, it was decided to establish food banks and food sharing centers at around 14,022 Gram Nildari divisions in the country. The food banks are planned to be set up centering around religious places of worship.
Government teams continued their search for families who are suffering amidst the economic crisis that has gripped our nation. Our teams toured the districts of Kandy, Batikulo and Monoragala today.
මේ වතුර නැතු අපේ ගෙදරත් අඩි 195 නාලයක් ගහලා තියෙනවා. තවලින්දක් කපලා තියෙනවා. වැඩක් උනේ නැහැ වතුර නැහැ. මේ දුක අපි කාටද කියන්නේ දෙයියනේ.
This is the village of Singhapura Bibila in the Monaragala district. This woman was crying and pleading for nothing more than clean drinking water. About 150 families living in the Singhapura village in Bibila come to this well in the middle of the forest to fetch some water. But all of these people have dug wells in their lands as well. Although their wells are 40 to 50 feet deep, they do not have water for the better part of the year.
ඇඳුම් වද ගන්නත් වතුර නැහැ. ඒ නිසා කොහෙන් හරි අපිට වතුර සපයලා දෙන්න. වෙලාවකට ජූඩ් බබා දාලා තියනවා වතුර අදින්න.
This is an extremely impoverished village about 30 kilometers away from the Bibila Ampara road. There are about 150 families living here.
දවස් දෙකකට එක වේලක් කන ළමිනුත් ඉන්නවා මේක. ළමයිට පොඩි ආහාර වේලක් දෙන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම දෙන්න තත්ත්වයක් නැහැ.
පොඩි ළමයි වාසනික වෙලා බෙහෙත් ගන්න ගියාම ඔක්කොම හම්බ වෙනවා බෙහෙත්. බෙහෙත් තුන් දෙනවා සම්සිං ගන්න කියලා. දුන්න තුන් ටික ගන්න ගෙදරට තමයි අපිට එන්න වෙන්නේ. මේක හුදකලා කරපු ගම්මානේ අතනි කරම. නිලධාරීන් ඇවිදින් බලලා විතරයි යන්නේ. දැන් ගෙදර ගිහින් බලපුවම හාසෙන් නැති ගෙදරක් තියෙනවා කියලා.
Finding one meal is almost an impossible task for the people living here. They can't find work to make ends meet. The sight of many malnourished children in the village is a grim reminder of the plight of the people living here. This is Manmune South in the Vallavaya Divisional Secretariat. Gum and the teams met Kamalavati, a mother of 4, in the village of Tikode. One of her children is a heart patient. Although doctors had advised for the child to be provided with nutritious diet, Kamalavati is not able to afford this. The main issue in this area is the threat of wild elephants. The elephants had attacked Kamalavati's house 4 times now. These villagers cannot go up against the might of these wild elephants. They are only requesting for an elephant fence.
More news follows after this short commercial break. Stay tuned.
Ivan සතුටින් ඉන්නේ වයරින් කරලා වයරින් කිරුවේ එස්ලොන් පොලිකොන් යොදලා.
For your safety and the protection of the wires used in networking and AC wiring, Eslon Polycon cable trunking.
Welcome back to the news. On the 18th August 2022, Venerable Gallavis Sri Lankas was arrested and held under a 72-hour detention order for questioning by Sri Lanka police. On the 22nd of August, Sri Lanka's Defence Minister, President Ranil Wickremesinghe, granted approval to detain and interrogate the Venerable Thero for a period of 90 days. Today, Sri Lanka's sister arrived at the Narayanpeta Terrorist Investigation Unit to visit her brother. When she finally got to see her brother, it was revealed that he had been severely ill for more than 3 days. She says that the authorities refused to provide him with medical treatment. Sri Lanka's family requests the government to put an end to what they call political revenge.
Mama Gallo Sri Lanka appa අද මම පොඩි ආමුදුරෝ බලන්න නාරාහෙම්පිට දස්වචනයකට ගියා.
I am Galveva Sri Thero's sister. I visited the Narayanpeta Terrorism Investigation Unit to see him. He was having high fever. He said he has been sick for over 3 days now, but the authorities have not provided him with any medical treatment. What is the point of all of this? We are requesting them to stop taking revenge against Galveva Sri Thero and at least provide him with medical care.
අරන් දෙන්න කියලා තමයි ඉල්ලන්නේ.
At a time when a resolution has been passed against Sri Lanka by the United Nations Human Rights Commission, which could result in crippling the Sri Lankan economy furthermore, this is the manner in which the Sri Lankan authorities treats prisoners. With the people always, News First. We report, you decide. In more local news, State Minister of Tourism Diana Gamage says that a special program is in place to develop the tourism industry. She said that a music artist from the state of Bangalore, India, will take part in a program to promote tourism in Sri Lanka.
It will be launched next month in Bangalore on the 12th of November. The first one will be held as a cricket match between our artist and artists from India. The second part will be in Sri Lanka. It will take place on the 8th of December at Dorayappa Stadium in Jaffna. The Jaffna concert will be one of the biggest concerts in Sri Lanka. We have already spoken with our artists. We have planned to include artists from India for this concert. This will help us to bring in more dollars to the country.
Sri Lanka Cascade System or Vava Elangava system is paramount for the survival of the country's agriculture sector. However, Vavas that have been neglected over the years have put agriculture communities at risk. News First, Tina Marian reports from rural Monoragala.
Sri Lanka has vast, dry, low-lying plains irrigated using traditional micro-watershed management system referred to as the tank cascade system. For centuries, these Vavas have been nourishing Sri Lanka's paddy lands. But unfortunately, many of them have gone to ruin due to neglect and development marred with corruption. This is the Mahagodayaya Vava in remote Monoragala that used to provide water for several hundred acres of paddy lands over the years. But today, that's not the case. We cultivate once or twice a season. We have no way to survive. We sometimes go to cut sugarcane and they pay us a mere 30 rupees per bundle. We are not farming anymore. We also face the threat from wild elephants. The Vava does not have a proper irrigation system. The fertilizer crisis also affected us. This is a dry zone as well. If we are provided water, we can cultivate a lot. These farmers told News First that if a proper irrigation system is made available for them, they can survive on agriculture with no added luxury. The threat from wild elephants is another problem these villagers face, as one herd can completely destroy the cultivations, and the woes of these people have fallen on deaf ears. These people are requesting the authorities to take measures to protect the farming community in Sri Lanka by renovating Vavas like this, which are at the heart of Sri Lanka's agriculture sector.
This is the Mahagodayaya Vava in Monoragala district. This Vava used to support many farmlands in this village. But because this Vava not have been renovated for many years, farmlands have been badly affected. Due to this reason, farmers in this village have been forced to work as a day labor. I am Tina Marian reporting from Monoragala district.
economic crimes. Today, Sri Lanka is in a deep economic crisis. There are many reasons that brought the country's economy down this dark abyss. The responsibility of Parliament or the legislature of the country in this matter cannot be disregarded. Let's consider the food crisis the country is facing. Despite politicians denying the fact that the country is facing a food crisis, reputed international organizations have proved with facts and figures the true gravity of the food crisis in the country. According to the World Food Organization, 5 million people in our country are foregoing meals and starving. In the index of child malnutrition, Sri Lanka is ranked 7th globally and 2nd in the region. How did this happen? Behind the entire crisis is corruption, fraud, and irregularities. Do you remember the largest financial scam in the country, the central bank bond scam? Who robbed hard-working Sri Lankans of their money? The loss suffered by the Employees Provident Fund alone was 8 billion rupees. The total loss suffered by the country cannot be calculated even today. 10th of October 2020. Who reduced the import tax of 50 rupees that was imposed on a kilo of sugar to 25 cents? The then chairman of the Committee on Public Accounts said that consumers did not gain any benefit from the reduction of this tax. Who robbed the country of the taxes that it was due and lined the pockets of large-scale businessmen? Who directed the Finance Ministry to take such an unsound decision? According to audit reports, the government lost a total of 16,763 million rupees in tax revenue. These are massive economic crimes. The money that was freely available to be doled out to their friendly businessmen were not available when it came to purchase life-saving vaccines. Do you remember the coconut oil tax scam, the garlic scam? All of these are economic crimes. These are the reasons that dragged our country down to this shameful and helpless situation. We only revealed a few incidents of fraud and corruption. Instead of enforcing the law against the perpetrators of these crimes, consecutive governments always fooled the people. We are not interested in parties, colors, or even individuals. We have always stood with the people, and we will continue to stand with the people.
Sri Lanka Association for Software Services Companies relaunched their Future Careers Bridge website in Colombo yesterday.
The event was attended by SLASCOM leaders, Norwegian Ambassador Trine Eskedal and many other dignitaries. Future Careers Bridge is a joint program by the USAID's U-Leader activity and SLASCOM. This bridge program trains youth for careers across the IT industry. The Future Careers Bridge 2.0 website was relaunched at the event.
Thank you very much to Deborah Marcel, Trine Eskedal.
We all know that the tech industry is one of the fastest growing in the world. This Future Careers Bridge platform that is launched today will open up new paths and new ways for the ICT careers for very many Sri Lankans, and in particular the young or the youth. First of all, SLASCOM has actively promoted tech startups, including women-led startups, and that has contributed to strengthening the startup ecosystem and promoted an innovative culture in Sri Lanka. We hope that this kind of initiative will continue and maybe also scale up across the country, as we believe it will help promote the IT industry in Sri Lanka.
I am delighted that almost half of Bridge's registered users are women. Supporting young women who choose a career in ICT is not just good for them and their families. It is a major accelerator of socioeconomic development for the country. Through the U.S. government, the American people have supported the people of Sri Lanka for more than 70 years. We have a wonderful partnership. We continue to stand committed in our efforts to invest in improving living conditions and creating better opportunities for Sri Lankans across the island. USAID is happy to continue to support the Bridge program through our youth employment and business startup project you lead.
This wouldn't have been possible if we don't manage the value chain of this industry. We have all these associations coming in line and aligning with us to get this type of initiative going, because once you have a platform, it's the biggest problem is how do you get traction on the wheels and get this done. So I think they have all contributed to making this a national success. Truly, it's a national success.
A panel discussion was also held on the development of and upliftment of the IT industry in Sri Lanka.
Shifting your attention to international news, the nominations to succeed Liz Truss as the next Conservative Party leader and Prime Minister of the United Kingdom will close on Monday, the 24th of October. Former Chancellor of Exchequer Rishi Sunak and former Prime Minister Boris Johnson are reportedly strong contenders for the post.
To enter the race for the UK Prime Minister, candidates will require at least 100 nominations. In the last contest, only 20 nominations were needed. As there are currently 357 Tory MPs, a maximum of 3 candidates will be able to progress. According to BBC estimates, Rishi Sunak has reached 100 public backers needed to qualify. According to BBC estimates, Rishi Sunak has reached 100 public backers needed to qualify as a candidate in the leadership race. The ex-Chancellor has 102 endorsements from Tory MPs so far. Former leader Boris Johnson, second with 46 backers, is poised to enter the contest to succeed Liz Truss and flew back to the UK today from a Caribbean holiday. And Penny Mordaunt was the first to declare, counting 21 supporters so far. Meanwhile, UK Labour Party leader Sir Keir Starmer has called on Liz Truss not to claim an allowance of up to £115,000 a year that she would be entitled to after resigning as Prime Minister. It means she will now be able to claim the Public Duty Costs Allowance, or PDCA, to which all former Prime Ministers are entitled. But the Labour leader, speaking to the BBC, said she had not earned the right to the allowance and should turn it down. Former Prime Ministers are able to draw on the PDCA for any costs that arise as a result of public duties. Liberal Democrat leader Ed Davey has also said she should not claim the money.
China's Communist Party on Saturday endorsed Xi Jinping's co-position in the country's leadership. The move signals it is all but assured that Xi Jinping will be handed an unprecedented third term in power.
At the end of the week-long gathering in Beijing, China's ruling party approved a sweeping reshuffle that saw a number of top officials, including Premier Li Keqiang, step down, allowing Xi to appoint new allies. The largely rubber-stamped meeting of among 2,300 party delegates was meticulously choreographed, with Xi determined to avoid any surprises as he enshrined his leadership for the next 5 years. But in an unexpected move that punctured the proceedings at the Great Hall of the People in China, the former leader Hu Jintao was led out of the closing ceremony. Xi is now all but certain to be unveiled as General Secretary on Sunday, shortly after the first meeting of the new Central Committee. This will allow Xi to sail through to a third term as China's president, due to be announced during the government's annual legislative sessions in March.
The congressional panel investigating last year's Capitol riot has issued legal summons ordering former President Donald Trump to testify to lawmakers. It paves the way for a potentially historic court fight over whether Congress can compel testimony from a former president.
Addressing Trump, the legal summons reads, "You were at the center of the first and only effort by any US president to overturn an election. You knew this activity was illegal and unconstitutional." A lawyer for Trump accused the lawmakers on the committee of flouting norms. The former president has lambasted the inquiry as a ruse designed to distract voters from the disaster of democratic governance, with US midterm elections looming next month. Trump could face criminal charges if he does not comply with the subpoena. He has until the 4th of November to provide documents to the 6th January committee and must appear for the deposition testimony on or about the 14th of November.
Despite the heavy raids, residents in Colombo gathered at the Royal Mass Arena in Colombo to witness the best of the best mixed martial arts fighters in Sri Lanka compete against each other. News First, Senitha Seranayake reports.
The Ceylon Fighting Championship, organised by the Ceylon Fight Club, is the only local fighting league in the country that provides a platform to up-and-coming young fighters to showcase their talents. The fight card of the CFC Season 5 was stacked with 22 talented fighters from across the country, mainly from Colombo, Kurunegala and Kandy.
Oh man, they're brilliant. There's so much talent in Sri Lanka and these guys are just starting.
Filled with, speed and power, which is really good. So, and also I wish there'll be more people fighting and more people will be motivated to compete in MMA as well.
Kumud Patirana was the referee in charge.
Fighting is etched in the DNA of almost everyone. If a football match, a cricket match and a street fight is taking place in 3 different streets at the same time, what would you choose to watch? After speaking to the fighters here, we realized that Sri Lanka has phenomenal talent that can represent it in the sport of MMA in an international level. Senitha Seranayake, News First, Colombo.
The reigning T20 World Champions Australia were comprehensively beaten by New Zealand by 89 runs in match number 1 of the Super 12 stage at the 2022 ICC T20 World Cup today.
Starting off the Super 12 round, hosts Australia won the toss and decided to take the field in Sydney. Finn Allen and Devon Conway opened the innings for the Kiwis. The pair put on a quick-fire 56-run partnership for the first wicket, giving New Zealand a strong start. Finn Allen scored a blistering 42 of 16 with 5 fours and 3 sixes. Skipper Kane Williamson was dismissed for 23 and Glenn Phillips for 12. Opener Devon Conway carried his bat, scoring a brilliant 92 of 58 balls. For Australia, Josh Hazelwood took 2 wickets. At the end of the allotted 20 overs, New Zealand scored 200 runs, losing just 3 wickets. Chasing a target of 201, Australia opened the innings with David Warner and captain Aaron Finch, but the Kiwi bowlers didn't allow them to get away to a quick start. Warner was dismissed for 5, Finch for 13. Glenn Maxwell top scored for the home side with 28 off 20. Australia were eventually dismissed cheaply for 111 runs by New Zealand's bowlers, led by Tim Southee. Southee took 3 wickets for 6 runs, while Mitchell Santner took 3 for 31.
He's hit that one away over. Extra cover to Charles.
Get 23. Is this the moment New Zealand can finally celebrate? They certainly...
You can see their energy just evaporate from the second or third ball.
In match number 2 today, England won comfortably by 5 wickets against Afghanistan in Perth. England won the toss, put Afghanistan into bat and restricted them to 112 of 19.4 overs. Sam Curran took 5 for 10 of 3.4 overs. England then chased down the total in 18.1 overs. They made 130 for the loss of 5 wickets. In more sports news, St Thomas's College Mount Lavinia won the Royal Thomaian Rowing Regatta after 5 years over their traditional rivals Royal College Colombo today. This is the second oldest regatta in the world and it took place on the Beary Lake from the Colombo Rowing Club. St Thomas College won by a score of 42 to 10. The T.N. Fernando Overall Rowing Championship was won by St Thomas's College. The Best Oarsman award was awarded to Aritha Radalaguda of St Thomas's College.
The annual Roy-Tho Regatta, which took place today at the Colombo Rowing Club, was graced by the Warden of St Thomas's College, Reverend Mark Billy Moria, Vice Principal of Royal College, Prasad Veerasinghe, and Chief Guest Nishanta De Silva, a past oarsman of St Thomas's College. Despite the gloomy weather, the events kick-started in the afternoon. Royal College won the A Scull race, the C Force race and the B Double Scull races. But St Thomas's College won the rest of the races, including the prestigious boat race, which took the overall total to 42 to 10.
From that, we bring to a close this edition of Primetime News on TV Bond. For details of these stories and much more, simply log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk. For the News First, where the people come first, I'm Martin Satyanesan. You take care and good night.